Okay. I just woke up a few minutes ago, but I passed out so early because I'm absolutely exhausted. I've been knocking my pen and trying to get justice for everybody and trying to get justice for myself and keeping the king alive and writing. Just now that I can step away, now that the laser has been pointed where it needs to be pointed, and God is just waiting to set the whole thing off. Seven in one go. Something big is coming, and I'm going to be writing this into the movie, Unorthodox. So while I'm sitting here writing, waiting for God to put on his big finale in order to put an end to the people out there trying to cause trouble for the rest of the world, because something's coming, I'm telling you now. It's a shock. It's going to be a shocker. It's going to be a shocker. So I've changed it a little bit, and he's the Father Petrov. He's not a priest. He's just a deeply religious man, but he's like a private eye, a private investigator. He maybe has considered going into the priesthood, but he's very like whatever it is he does, his division of it, his specialization of it is in the occult. And he knows Ben from back in the day. I haven't decided whether from childhood or later on. I've still got to try. If I take it back to childhood, I've got to tie them both into certain events, and I hadn't planned on that when I wrote the Quantum Menace Part 1. It brings other characters in more in depth that I would want them to be until I wrote Quantum Menace Part 2. But I haven't, we'll just wait and see, because you got to remember, number one is an action movie, so I don't want it to get too involved in the other stuff. I want to focus on the action and the survival and the reason why, and like that sort of thing. Not so much focus on interlocking personal stories. I want to keep it a bit more light. So I don't know how far back I want this to go for the two of them, but they'll call him Father Petrov or whatever his last name's gonna be, but they'll call him Father because it's like because he is a man of God, because he is like like he knows his stuff when it comes to God and religion and the occult, and so they just in the office or at the station or whatever, they call him Father, not captain, not detective, not whatever, they call him Father. And he's going to get called in to investigate these series of unexplained deaths, weird ones. And it's not just happening where he is, it's happening in other countries as well. There's had to be like a big international task force that's been set up, because like politicians and rich and famous people are dropping like flies, like at an exponential rate, and they're all dying in really, really unusual ways. It doesn't matter whether they're like the headliner at a radio station, a news network, if they're like, Instagram influencers. It doesn't matter who they are, if they're like famous for it, if they're making money for it. These people are vanishing off the face of the earth, or they're dying in really unusual ways. Models, singers, actors. And so I've written the first scene, and it might change, but this is the intellectual property of Debbie Lee Callahan, so nobody, if anyone tries to steal any of my stuff, ask the ones who stole from me last time how that's going for them. Justice might not be swift, but you're going to feel it when it catches up to you, mate. So don't even think about it. I get my downloads from God because it's going to help me raise the most money to shelter these kids. So if you touch money from virtue, it's going to count as a sin, and quite a big sin because you're stealing off children. Anywho, going to have this opening scene where there's this young girl. She's like maybe 17 years old, and she's like looking out at the sky at night, and she's praying to God, like, just make me be famous. Like, I want to be a famous singer. I want to be like, whatever the movie version of Ariana Grande is going to be, or someone like that, someone relevant. I want to be like her. And then, she gets up and she goes back to her piano and she's singing again. She's just practicing. I want to be like her. I want to be like her, and nothing's happening. Just sort of like just like a quick little flash of her from like 14, 15 up to about 17, praying to God. I want to be like her. Like, why can't I be famous? That sort of thing. And then you see her, and she's standing at the cave, and her friends are saying, "It works, I promise. My brother came here and did an offering to get the job that he wanted, and before he'd even gotten in the car to go home, he got the call to say, when can you start? Sort of like, I promise it works." So she makes a sacrifice. She sacrifices her mother to be like the next Ariana Grande or K-pop or whatever. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. And then next thing you know, you see her walking out of like a limo, kind of, posh car. She's all like dressed for the stage. She's got heels on. She's got tight whatever's on. She's got like a glittery halter neck top sort of thing on. Clearly she's famous. There's like, she's walking into a stadium where she's about to go on stage, and she gets out of the car and goes through the tunnel under the stage, and takes her jacket off. They touch her makeup up and everything, and she goes on stage to a roaring crowd, and blah blah blah. And then she takes a break to go and get changed. She goes into her changing room. She asks to be left alone, does a line of coke, swigs a beer, starts getting changed, and then she can hear the tick 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 on the floor. And she'll kind of look around, that whole spoopy thing. And then she'll be getting changed. And there'll be a knock at the door. It's time to go back on. She'll go back on, and, she just missed it. Shuts the door, goes back on stage. Then it shows her finishing the set, coming in, taking off her jacket, like going to put on like jeans and t-shirts sort of thing, doing another line of coke. And then she can see, like, I've decided I wanted to have like either like piercing brown eyes, like the most beautiful deer doe eyes you've ever seen in your life. Because remember, she does lure prey in with her feminine mask, her feminine skin on, or like massive green ones, like just the most beautiful green eyes you've ever seen. kind of green eyes or brown eyes, and she'll just see them in the shadows. And she's, is anyone there, do anything, blah blah blah. And then she gets that feeling like, her hair stands up on end. And then she just grabs her bag and her phone and that, and she shuts the door, and she just misses it. And then you see her at the club, and that whole blade do 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 do, that kind of like thumping music and that, and she's got a whatever in her hand, a cigarette or whatever, or a drink, and she's talking to people, and they're saying great show and all that, and she's a little bit arsey, she's yeah, she's a bit contrite and arsey and arrogant, and forgot about all the practice. And she goes outside to light a cigarette, and she goes out onto like the balcony bit, and it's like a few stories up, and someone comes out to talk to her, and he turns around to shut the door, and she's gone. So you'll see her standing there, and you'll just see these claws come down, or like a tongue. I haven't decided, but I'm thinking claws might be more effective. Claws come down and scoop her up while the guy's shutting the door, and when he turns around, she's gone. And he looks over the balcony, and like she's not there, and it's like she's just vanished off the face of the earth. And CCTV cameras, all the CCTV cameras glitch. And then, of course, this conspiracy theory starts. Oh, it was the government because, it just so happens that all the cameras glitched at the same time. That's no coincidence. That doesn't just happen. That sort of thing. Right through to people of the religious ilk bringing up passages from the Bible, or bringing up passages from this, that, and the other thing. And saying like, oh my God, this is it. This is like whatever the rapture's going to be, but not like this unknown secret thing. So then he'll start looking up this unknown secret thing, the Father will, and he starts having memories and flashbacks, and like suddenly things from his past are starting to make sense in that. And then it's going to cut to 2 days after the girl goes missing, and he's on a plane, and it's coming into land, and just as the plane's about to touch down, her body drops onto the wing of the plane, and it's all like disemboweled and headless, and then of course his cop mind, his detective mind, how was she above me? And then the start credits to the movie will come up, and that's scene one. That's just like painting the picture. So so she'll probably walk out to light a cigarette or something like that with the music thumping. So I want good musicians. I want like musicians with all kinds of caliber of experience, from thrash metal to can do pop, and can do like because this is the kind of movie where I want to be able to put a soundtrack together, and like put it on our version of Spotify eventually. Well, I mean, if we're making movies by then, I'll have my server up anyway, so our version of Spotify, so I can have a playlist of the soundtrack to the movie. I'll try and do that with the Quantum Menace. Is going to have really good music, I can tell you that now. And the Soul Collector too, because my son Thomas was going to be in charge of that, and he gave me samples of ideas of the kind of music he was thinking for various scenes and stuff like that. And I'm telling you now, that kid's a natural when it comes to writing. because he fills in the blank for me. I'll sit down and tell him the premise of something, or tell him my idea or whatever, and I'll just be missing that thing, and he'll come in with the golden nugget that just like smooths everything out and just makes it perfect. Well, then he puts the music to that as well, and like he's phenomenal. So this is why I need to build my art school, my arts and entertainment school, because like there's kids out there with the most unbelievable talent that when you put it all together in books and movies and games and things like that, like it's just it needs to be nurtured. Like it's criminal that there's kids out there with talents like the ones that my boys have, and I'm not tooting my own horn. Like they even said at the hospital when I got locked up, like my boys are exceptionally smart and very polite and very well behaved, and like they couldn't knock me when it came to. Even they had to admit my kids were awesome and exceptionally intelligent. Social services said the same thing. They were way over the head of the first one. They actually requested a new um, person of it because they said the first one was too immature. They said she was too busy flirting with Chris, kissing Chris's butt. But I've known from day one that my kids were smart enough that they belong in a school where their gifts and talents can be nurtured, but there's nothing like it out there. So I created it. And then of course all this stuff happened, and it's like now the lawsuit. Now when I win all of this, and I know I'm going to win it, like I have no hesitations. I'm not even phased about it because I was told in the 90s how this was going to end, and I can see it already. Like I know it's there already. So I'm keeping my head down and I'm waiting for that laser to be fired because it's about to be fired. And all the people that stood in the way of me getting to Russia, me doing what I have to do, they're all about to deal with the consequences of it from a higher position. So people like Vladimir Putin and the King and I aren't really going to have to worry about lifting a finger at this point because they've already set in motion the great downfall. And I'm just waiting to hear that the tower has crashed, so to speak, the Trump towers, the Trump career or the Musk career or the Starmer career. It doesn't matter. Whichever one falls first, there's going to be a domino effect. They all fall down together. I've just been hearing that over and over and over again. 7 in one go, they all fall down together. Ring a rosy, a tissue, they all fall down. So, so I'm just minding my own business, writing my stuff. Because when I get my school built, I can get these kids like mine out of their boring towns and their boring lives and the schools where they're not understood or nurtured or appreciated, the homes that don't understand them, or where there's stress or bullying or loneliness or neglect or abandonment or abuse or any of that sort of stuff. They can sign up to my program, their governments can pay for it, fly them out, come and stay with me for a few months and make a movie. And put your talents to good use. So then Thomas can sit down and help write the movie, write the game that he wants to make, and then he can put the music to it all. I told him he can have his own project to do that he can be in charge of, as long as he helps me with the storylines to the couple of games that, Quantum Menace and Soul Collector, as long as he pitched in with the writing and helped put the music together. And he said yeah, so Gabriel, I think, will try his hand at a lot of things, especially like sound and editing and that. That's if they wanted to. I don't force kids to do anything they don't want to do, but I'm just saying if. But I have a feeling like as soon as we started going out looking for those tanks for Quantum Menace 1, because we'd need tanks from World War One and Two, and ones from around about the time of Afghanistan. I think he's going to be in that department. So yeah, so that's the first scene of Unorthodox. So I slightly changed it. So it's just he's a cop, because then it gives him more access to files and records, and it reminds him of something that he read about in the book, and what people have been saying online, and because these conspiracy theorists, these conspiracy nut jobs, the ones that just come up with the most ridiculous things, like just like it doesn't even make sense from the common version, let alone from a logical version. Kind of conspiracy nut jobs. Then there's the conspiracy theorists that know what they're talking about, and they work very quick on tearing things like assassinations apart, and very good. The armchair detectives, like they're very good. And then you'll get the ones that stand out, that they'll usually only have a couple of views, maybe like 30 views, but they'll say something that stands out, that just like hits you to the core of your soul, and they're telling the truth, or that they've uncovered something, or they know something that's a bit deeper than even the conspiracy theorists, that kind of subversive, like, oh, they're onto something there. It's that kind of thing. He's going to see things like that popping up, where they're going to be mentioning, oh God, how do you pronounce it? The Sangrius Matrium? The Sangrius Matrium? The sacrifice of the mother, and they'll be saying every single one of these people lost their mother. And then he'll look into it, and then there'll be like the whole thing. So there's every single one of them lost their mother, or their mothers were either taken or offered, because like in the case of, say, like Prince William, his mother was taken because they didn't play ball. When you don't play ball, they take your mother. But if you play by the rules, you offer your mother. There's going to be I've got it written down in Latin, so I'm not going to be able to remember it all by heart, but in the ritual, because obviously I've got to like make this stuff up, in the ritual you're given the choice of offering your mother or saving your mother. And if you offer to save your mother, you don't really want it that much. You don't want it enough. Like you can't join our cult. So if you don't play by ball, if you don't play by the rules, they take your mother. But if you play by the rules, then you offer them up. Because that's one of the conspiracy theorists, is that they offer their nearest and dearest. You have to make a sacrifice of the person you love your most, but the person you love the most, because like everybody who's famous has lost someone, sometimes even a couple of times, because then the conspiracy theory is that when their careers are dwindling, they have to make another one, that sort of thing. So, but in my storyline, it's going to be it's just the mother, because devils like Baphomet, for example, are trying to tear down the traditional family way of being with the mum and the dad and the kids in the family home together. This whole CIA thing that they did, this whole movement that they did in the 60s and 70s with African American families, where they introduced things like cocaine. Cocaine was originally supposed to target African Americans, but it was too expensive. They lowered their living standards so much that they couldn't afford it, and it became the white person drug. So, see, because I had to look into all this sort of stuff because I myself was drugged. And the thing is that, as I was saying to my nephew, so much of my real life, I'm literally able to write into this story because I've lived it firsthand. But I'm just telling it from a more creative experience, like Quantum Menace Part 1, when, he's off in the wild doing his survival training and all that. He's gonna have like a open wound that he's gonna pour salt into to keep it clean, and do the whole thing of like like arching his back and having to grip the grass and screaming in agony and that because it's so painful. That happened to me in real life. I'm gonna put that in there. There's things that have happened to me when I had to fight for my own survival and all that sort of thing, dodging all the bullets that I had to growing up, and having to walk through the fire in this last one. um, I experienced things that I will be able to write into Quantum Menace 1. Well, in all of them, but Quantum for the survival training part, absolutely. Dragging myself to the shower to wake myself up to get my heart beating again because my blood pressure was dropping. So, yeah, with like pus hanging out of my stomach and everything, dragged myself to the shower. I'll never forget that. So, yeah, I'll be able to write all this sort of stuff in. And every single person who did this to me hates their mother. That's what I realised. Every single one of them, the one thing every single one of these people have in common is they hate their mother. From Donald Trump to Elon Musk to Christopher Black to Manannis, they've all hated their mother. And yet it's mums like Queen Victoria and Queen Elizabeth and Princess Diana and even my mum and Margaret Thatcher and Vladdy's mum and Mina and all that. They're the ones that are here helping us fight the good fight to shut the portal, so to speak. I'm going to write it into the movie that the seal that Ben needs to take to the father, to the cop, not the priest. It's some kind of special royal seal. It's a kind of royal seal that not just anybody has, but it's going to prove his lineage. It's like the book of Hakam Hokum sort of thing. Like it's one of those things that it's so rare that only like a handful of people even know about it. But it will prove definitively if he has that seal, he's the bloodline. He's the son bloodline. The Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit of the new Trinity, of the new world. And then the portal opens and then the angels and that come flying out and rid the world of all the devils and demons. And I think I figured out what that's a metaphor for. Basically, once the king comes on board, we get um, we open up a new world for people where it's more based on tradition. And back in the days when we supported kids with talent, and the factories were, everyone had jobs and everyone had food on the table and that sort of thing, where the grass was green and you could swim in the water, and it snowed at Christmas time, and nobody got sick when it rained and that sort of thing. And then what's going to happen is, I think the angels and gods and archangels in there are going to be like the children and the teachers and the mentors and the people who are going to come on board to help us rid the world of the perversity in music and entertainment. The ones who sold their souls to the devil, the ones who get caught up in these rituals, the ones who buy adrenochrome, the ones who are connected to Epstein and Diddy. How any of these people in any of those photos are still walking the street at those Diddy parties, it's beyond me. But I think what it is that it's talking about how we're going to come in and sweep the globe with wholesome entertainment again, even if it is thrash metal and it's talking about the devil and stuff like that. Like everybody just understands we need an outlet, and for some kids, that kind of talking like that or getting it out of them, it's their way of it's better they do that than drugs. It's better they do that than self-harm. Let them get it out, but give them a healthy way to do it. Because these are the kids that, they can record their thrash, whatever, and they, and the devil made me do it, and blah, 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 kind of music, but they're going to know that I'll be standing there so proud of them, clapping and cheering, and when they finish their recording, I'll be giving them kisses and cuddles and offering them cookies and telling them how proud of them I am. Like, they're going to have that kind of nurturing. They can be as angry and rageful and all that as they like, as long as it's in a healthy way. Because we're there to make sure that, it doesn't go any further than just healthy forms of expression. Because that's the trouble with these kids, the ones that always end up on the radar for therapy and medication and, school nonsense and family nonsense and all that, is because they're frustrated at the fact that they have no way to express what they're feeling. But when they come to us, we'll let them express what they're feeling, but we can also help them understand why they're feeling it. So they're heard. I'll be able to know by the lyrics, by the art. I'll be able to know just by looking at them what's going on. And then if I'm concerned about anything or they need to come to me for anything, like, it's there. And my kids, all the kids will know that if I pick up on anything, I'll be pulling them aside and having a wee chat to them, and they'll know that the door to my home is always open to them. If they need to talk about anything and they don't want anyone else to know, if they're too scared of going back, which is why I'm saying I think I might need to build a boarding school, because I have a feeling like there's some of these kids where it might not be safe for them to go back. Too toxic. So then I would put plan B into action with their contract. Because whoever their parents and guardians are, I'll make them sign a contract that says if your child is too talented, and they decide they want to stay, we can keep them for as long as they want to keep producing what it is they're talented at. Like it will be like a legal way of nicely saying either like your kid is too talented and we want to work with them, like genuinely, or you don't deserve them. They're not safe with you, but in a polite legal way. And then, yeah, so I'm thinking I might have to have like a wee boarding area for some of these kids where it might not be safe for them to go back. So, but then these kids can then also help me make movies like Unorthodox and Mother Knows Best, which is the opposite, where it's not the mother who's the sacrifice, where it's the mother who's causing all the trouble. Dun dun dun. So yeah, that's a great thing about having a writer's mind like mine, and probably the most interesting life you could ever possibly ask for. I'm sitting here with all this power, and I'm just choosing to put it into creating schoolwork for children out there in the world I haven't even met yet, but I need to get to. I just need this royal seal. And then I can take it to the father. I have to find out what's the the Russian Orthodox version of father. It's not padre, is it? Because that's Italian. I'll have to look that up now. But anyway, so there you go. So that's going to be the opening scene. Oh, I passed out so early last night because I've been knocking my pan in. I would think I was passed out by like 8 o'clock. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. Somewhere between, but I think I woke up like a little bit. But from what I remember, I passed out somewhere around about 8 o'clock and then woke up just like a few minutes ago, like 40 minutes ago. Got up, made myself a coffee, and then hit record. I slept for so long. Anyway, so I'm going to go and finish my coffee. But that's what I have so far. Things might change, but as of, that's going to be the first opening scene. So, how are we going to hoist her up? That might be where the graphics come in. We're going to have to like fling her off a roof. Yeah. See, if we have to use a little bit of graphics like that, that's completely fine. But if they can think of another way to do it, that would be cool as well. Where it's safe, because I don't want any of my kids in that doing anything that's unsafe. But obviously, we're going to need actors who aren't children. So this is the fun bit. This is where people will be able to come off the street from all parts of Russia when they go out looking for talent, who might want to try their hand at a bit of acting, and then they end up in a role like in a movie like Unorthodox or Quantum Menace or something. Just random people out there in the world right now who are getting ready to go to work in the bakery or drive their truck or work in the hospital or teach or whatever, out there in the world right now, not even realizing, like by this time next year, they're going to be actors in a movie. Or like teaching woodwork, or running their own little food stall in our international eatery. Just no clue. This time next year, they're going to be the voice of Princess Anahita or Prince Lucian or Miro or, yeah, Otisha the owl or the grandmother tree. Somewhere out there in the world is a woman who's going to be the voice of the famous grandmother tree. And she doesn't even know it. But it's coming because those doors are opening. Swing. I just need to get all the right people in position. And then I get to turn my life into games and movies and books and TV shows. And all the people that inspire me as well. They all get to become characters in the play of my life. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite anō.